For more videos, press the subscribe button and also turn on the bell notification to receive the updates directly in your device. Hello friends, I Vikas Nehra welcome you all to our live Linux training for members. This is session number 49 and in this session we will talk about the Security Enhanced Linux or SE Linux. This SE Linux tutorial is going to be very long, so we have decided to break it into parts. So this would be our first part of SE Linux. So without wasting time, let's get started. The first question arises, what is SE Linux? SE Linux or Security Enhanced Linux is an implementation of a mandatory access control mechanism in Linux kernel. Checking for allowed operations after standard discretionary access control are checked. It was created by National Security Agency and can enforce rules on files and processes in a Linux system and on their actions based on defined policies. So what is SE Linux? SE Linux enforces the mandatory access control mechanism in Linux kernel. There are certain protocols, policies which are already defined for the files and the processes, and SE Linux enforces those policies in system. So with the help of SE Linux, we can enhance the security of our machine. Now, here you need to know what is the meaning of the mandatory access control and how it is different from the discretionary access control. Let's understand the difference between the mandatory access control mechanism and the discretionary access control. So let's go to the terminal and go to the /tmp directory and let's create a file here with the name as cal.txt. If I long list the contents, I can show you the permissions here on this file. These permissions are used for the discretionary access. Actually, if I need to give access to any other user on this file, so there are different methods which I can use. I can either add him in a group and I can change the group for this file, and there I can set the permissions on the group, or I can use the concept of ACL to give the access. That totally depends on the wisdom of the root user or the admin user. So the method that we use to provide the access to any other user on any file or on directory, that totally depends on the wisdom or on the intelligence of the admin or the root user. This method falls in the category of the discretionary access, because here in this situation the method for providing the access to any user may be different depending on the capability or the understanding of the root user. While in case of the mandatory access control mechanism, some policies are used. Let me show you. If I execute ls-z and the name of the file, here I can show you the SE Linux context, the role, the user and the security level. This information will be used to give the access, and it will be checked after checking the discretionary access control on the file. So this information is used by the SE Linux policies, and this is called the mandatory access control mechanism, because in this situation it does not depend on the wisdom or on the way of working of the root user. Here whatever is written in the policies, that will be followed no matter who is going to take the access. So this is the difference between the mandatory access control mechanism and the discretionary access control mechanism. Let's proceed further. When using SE Linux, files including directories and devices are referred to as objects. Processes such as a user running a command or any application are referred to as subjects. Most operating systems use a discretionary access control system that controls how subject interacts with objects and how subject interacts with the others. On operating system, using discretionary access control, users control the permission of files or objects that they own. As I shown you, how can you give the permission or the access to any other user? This is called the discretionary access control mechanism. Relying on discretionary access control mechanism alone is fundamentally inadequate for strong system security. Discretionary access decisions are only based on the user identity and ownership, ignoring the other security relevant information such as the role of the user, the function, and the trustworthiness of the program, and the sensitivity and the integrity of the data. Now I am going to show you the example of permissions used on Linux operating systems that do not run the security enhanced Linux. If you will execute ls-l command for any file, it will display you the permissions, the user, the group, and the additional details regarding to that particular file. Security enhanced Linux adds mandatory access control mechanism to the Linux kernel and is enabled by default in Fedora based distributions. Mandatory access control mechanism provides a strong separation of applications that permits the safe execution of untrustworthy applications. Its ability to limit the privileges associated with the executing processes limit the scope of the potential damage that can result from the exploitation of the vulnerabilities in applications and system services. Mandatory access control enables information to be protected from the legitimate users with the limited authorization as well as from authorized users who have unwittingly executed malicious applications. The following example that I am going to show you of the labels containing security relevant informations that are used on processes, Linux users, and files on Linux operating system that runs SE Linux. This information is called the SE Linux context and is viewed by using the following command. And I have already shown you the command. Here we mention option-Z with ls command to see the SE Linux context. In this example, SE Linux provides a user which is showing up as unconfined_u, comma, a role which is showing up as object_r, comma, a type which is showing up as user_tmp_t, and a label that is showing up here as S0. And this information is used to make access control decisions. With discretionary access control, access is controlled based on the Linux users and groups IDs. It is important to remember that SE Linux policy rules are checked after the discretionary access control rules. SE Linux policy rules are not used if discretionary access control rules deny access first. So if the discretionary access control is not giving you the access, in that case the SE Linux policy rules will not be used. Now what are the benefits of running the SE Linux? All the processes and files are labeled with a type. A type defines a domain for processes and a type for files. Processes are separated from each other by running in their own domains, and SE Linux policy rules define how processes interact with files as well as processes interact with each other. Access is only allowed if an SE Linux policy rule exists that specifically allows it. Fine-grained controlled access is stepping beyond traditional Unix permissions that are controlled at user discretion and based on the Linux user and group IDs. SE Linux access decisions are based on all available information such as an SE Linux user, role, type, and optionally a label. SE Linux policy is administrative defined, enforced system wide, and is not set at user discretion. Reduced vulnerability to privilege escalation attacks. Processes run in domains and are therefore separated from each other. SE Linux policy rules define how processes access files and other processes. If a process is compromised, the attacker only has access to the normal functions of that process and to the files and process has been configured to have access to. For example, if the Apache HTTP server is uncompromised, an attacker cannot use the process to read the files in the user home directories unless a specific SE Linux policy rule was added to configure to allow such accesses. So in that case, he can only access the files of HTTP, not other files. So this is the benefit of having the SE Linux enabled on the operating system. Next one is SE Linux can be used to enforce data confidentiality and integrity as well as protecting processes from untrusted inputs. However, SE Linux is not an antivirus software. It is also not a replacement for passwords, firewalls, or other security systems. It is not an all-in-one security solution. SE Linux is designed to enhance the existing security solutions, not to replace them. Even when running SE Linux, it is important to continue to follow good security practices such as keeping software up to date, using hard to guess passwords, firewalls, and so on. Now, how SE Linux increases the security? The default action is deny if an SE Linux policy rule does not exist to allow access, such as for a process opening a file. In that case, access is denied. SE Linux can confine Linux users. A number of confined SE Linux users exist in SE Linux policy. Linux users can be mapped to confined SE Linux users to take advantage of the security rules and mechanisms applied to them. Process separation is used. Processes run in their own domains, preventing processes from accessing files used by other processes as well as preventing processes from accessing other processes. SE Linux helps limit the damage made by configuration mistakes. Now, what is the architecture of SE Linux? SE Linux is a Linux security module that was built into the Linux kernel. SE Linux is driven by loadable policy rules when security relevant access is taking place, such as when a process attempts to open a file, the operation is intercepted in the Linux kernel by SE Linux. If an SE Linux policy rule allows the operation, it continues, otherwise the operation is blocked and the process receives an error. SE Linux decisions such as allowing or disallowing access are cached. The cache is known as the access vector cache or AVC. When using these cache decisions, SE Linux policy rules need to be checked less, which increases the performance. Remember that SE Linux policy rules have no effect if discretionary access control rules deny access first. Now, what are the modes of SE Linux? SE Linux has 3 modes. And what are these modes? The first mode is enforcing mode. SE Linux policy is enforced in this mode. SE Linux denies access based on the SE Linux policy rules. The second mode is permissive. SE Linux policy is not enforced in this mode. SE Linux does not deny access, but denials are logged for actions that would have been denied if running in the enforcing mode. So in this mode, it keeps the log of all the denials, but it does not enforce them. It does not deny the access in this mode. And third one is the disabled mode. In this mode, SE Linux is disabled. Only discretionary access control rules are used in this mode. In this mode, SE Linux does not work. Use the set enforce utility to change between the enforcing and the permissive mode. Changes made with the set enforce do not persistent across reboots. Here, if you want to check the current mode of SE Linux, you can execute the get enforce command. It will show you the mode as enforcing. If you want to make it permissive, you can execute set enforce 0, and you can execute the get enforce command to see the changes. Now you can see that the SE Linux is now permissive. If you want to again make it enforcing, you can execute set enforce 1, and you can verify the same by running the get enforce command. So it is now working in the enforcing mode, but these are not permanent. It will not withstand the system reboot. There is a file in etc directory in SE Linux directory with the name as config. If you will open this file, you can see the current mode, as well as you can see the SE Linux type. Here, if I will make it permissive or disabled, then it will be permanent. It can withstand the system reboot. So we can open this file in VI editor and we can make it either permissive or enforcing or disabled. As I told you that SE Linux enforces mandatory access control mechanism depending on the SE Linux context. Here, as I shown you earlier, the files and directories have their own SE Linux context. Let me show you. So this information is used for the mandatory access control mechanism. This is called the SE Linux context. Here it contains the information regarding the user, the role, the SE Linux contact or the label, and the security level. Not only the files and directories have the SE Linux context, but the users and the processes also. Let me show you the SE Linux context of the processes that are currently running. So here I can execute ps-e capital Z command. Here also you can see this information for the processes, and same we can use for the users. If you will execute the id command, it will by default show you the SE Linux context for the currently logged in user. You can also execute the id-z command to see the SE Linux context of the user with which you are currently logged in. So this information is used by the SE Linux. Now let's proceed further. As I just shown you, processes and files are labeled with SE Linux context that contains additional information such as SE Linux user, role, type, and optionally a label. When running SE Linux, all this information is used to make access control decisions, and in Fedora based distributions, SE Linux provides a combination of role based access control that is called as RBAC, type enforcement that is called as TE, and optionally the multi-level security that we call as MLS. We will go in detail of these in the upcoming sessions. The following is an example showing SE Linux context. SE Linux context are used on processes, Linux users, and files on Linux operating systems that run SE Linux, which I just shown you. And you can use the following commands to view the SE Linux context of files and directories. So here you can execute ls with option -z and the file name. It will show you the SE Linux context of the files or the directories. SE Linux context follows the SE Linux user, role, type, and label syntax. And these fields are SE Linux user, the first one. The SE Linux user identity is an identity known to the policy that is authorized for a specific set of rules and for a specific MLS range. Each user role, each user is mapped to SE Linux user via SE Linux policy. This allows SE Linux users to inherit the restrictions placed on SE Linux users. The mapped SE Linux user identity is used in the SE Linux context for the processes in that session in order to define what role and levels they can enter. And here you can execute semanage login-l command. It will show you the login username, SE Linux user type, MLS or MCS range, and the service. The login name column lists Linux users. The SE Linux user column lists which SE Linux user the Linux user is mapped to. For processes, the SE Linux user limits which roles and levels are accessible. The MLS or MCS range column is the level used by multi-level security and multi-category security. And the service column determines the correct SE Linux context in which the Linux user is supposed to be logged into the system. By default, asterisk character is used, which stands for any service. The next one is the role. Part of SE Linux is the role-based access control security model. The role is an attribute of RBAC. SE Linux users are authorized for roles and roles are authorized for domains. The role serves as an intermediary between domains and SE Linux users. The roles that can be entered determine which domains can be entered. Ultimately, this control which object type can be accessed. This helps reduce vulnerability to privilege escalation attacks. Next one is the type. The type is an attribute of type enforcement. The type defines a domain for processes and a type for files. SE Linux policy rules define how types can access each other, whether it be a domain accessing a type or a domain accessing other domain. Access is only allowed if a specific SE Linux policy rule exists that allow it. And the last one is the level. The level is an attribute of multi-level security and multi-category security. An MLS range is a pair of levels written as low level, high level. If the levels differ on low level, if the levels are identical. Each level is a sensitivity category pair with categories being optional. If there are categories, the level is written as sensitivity colon category set. If there are no categories, it is written as sensitivity. If the category set is a contiguous series, it can be abbreviated. For example, C0.C3 is the same as C0, C1, C2, C3. The /etc/SE Linux /targeted /settrans.conf file maps levels to human readable form. And in Fedora based distributions, targeted policy enforces MCS, and MCS there is just one sensitivity, that is S0. And it supports 1024 different categories, C0 through to C023. And the sensitivity is S0 and authorized for all categories. Let me show you this file on terminal. So let me execute cat /etc/SE Linux /targeted /settrans.conf command, and it will show you all this information. So guys, that's it from my side for the part 1 of SE Linux. In part 2, I will teach you the domain transitions. Hope you will find this tutorial useful for you. If you like it, then do share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are new on our channel, then please subscribe us and turn on the bell notification. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye. Jai Hind, Vande Matram.